Welcome back to From Within. I'm Brooke.
I'm Tori. Today, we're going to do another questionnaire. Some will be fun and some will be more, I guess, insight into how we handled
Just like like certain situations or certain topics or whatever kind of came our way at the time. So just because everybody's different, everybody handles things a little bit differently. So I mean, I'm sure her parenting is a lot different than my parenting. As well as probably both of our parentings is a lot different than some of y'all's. So just kind of seeing a different aspect and a different flow of how we've handled stuff and how we kind of do things our way a little bit.
Okay, so let's just dive into it. What was the biggest challenge you faced? Because both of us, we were like not in a relationship at all, and then we're in one pretty quickly post-divorce. And so what was your biggest challenge blending in the very beginning?
Oh.
Like in the aspect of like during the dating time. I'm not talking about like once you're married and everything. Like what was the biggest challenge, when the five of you hung out for the first time?
I would probably say like discipline was a big one because obviously Britton didn't have kids. Obviously. I mean,
we're both in the same.
Skylar, like they kind of came into where it was like, oh, there's already kids there and they're different ages. And we've kind of were already, I wouldn't say like comfortable as far as like how our household went, like routine wise, but we obviously you have some sort of a routine.
Yeah.
And then it's like when you add somebody else, it kind of changes up the dynamic. So I would say probably like the discipline because I did it a certain way just because that's what I was used to and trying to figure out post-divorce, like, okay, well now it's just me and the kids. There isn't another, person speaking about something or doing it their way or, we were having a, kind of clash together. And so it was kind of more of like, I would do something and Britton's like, what are you doing? Like, that's not helping. Or, no, you need to be more hard on them. And I'm like, well, no, I've been doing this for how long? Like, bro, you just showed up. Like, you got to ease your way into it. But I would say, like, discipline was a big one to kind of adjust to. He's very, like, military style because that's what he grew up with, And so when he kind of came into it full force, I was like, oh, buddy, we got to pump the brakes a little bit. They're not used to that. I'm not used to that. So now we kind of have to do something that works for all of us and that we're all comfortable with, if that makes sense. I think that was probably like the biggest one for us, or for me at least.
Yeah, I would say the exact same for me because when we first started dating, we kind of went through the fun phase, when we all got together, it was we'd go to strike and reel, go on the lake, like all the fun things. Well, when we got engaged, we had to start slowly transitioning to seeing him not as just the fun boyfriend, and now this is going to be your stepdad. So just a different like authority level, not in a way like... So, a little bit of backstory. So, before my ex and I got divorced, we did spank the kids. They were just in a different... The discipline looked very different.
Yeah.
Well, post-divorce, I didn't have a lot of behavioral issues from the kids when it was just us in that first house we lived in. Like, Julianne might have sassed me every once in a while, but we were just enjoying life. Yeah. Like, there wasn't any stressor there that caused a lot of behavior problems. And so it wasn't until that whole situation changed where then it was certain things came out. And so the kids' counselor was like, okay, you can't discipline them the same way that you did before because this is the experience they had with their father. So it's not going to be received the same way.
Yeah.
And so when Skylar and I first, because... Let's see. We got engaged April of 22 and married by September of 22. So when we first got engaged, that was like right in the middle of when everything had shifted.
Yeah.
And so he became a full-time authority figure like real quick. And so we kind of had to navigate together like, okay, what does discipline look like now? We even had conversations like, if we did have a kid, how would it look like with them? Like how do we blend this to where it doesn't
it's like
create...
everybody's on the same page as well. Everybody's comfortable with it. I mean, because...
We had to have a lot of conversations because we physically could not discipline the kids in the same way. And so all of the things that I didn't necessarily agree with before, like timeout, and yes, kids do need to be grounded, but like they were so young, they didn't really have a bunch of stuff I could take away from them.
Yeah.
And then also dealing with the guilt of everything that their dad and I had put them through with the divorce and with the custody change and all that. I was like, I felt so guilty for ever disciplining them because...
Yeah, because you're like, they're already going through something.
Yeah, like kids don't come into this earth being like, I want this person for my mom and this person for my dad. Like they show up, they get what they get, and they just kind of have to roll with it until they can grow up and leave.
Right.
And so... we really had to that was tough to navigate. And I would still say there are areas where I kind of had the reins on because I was just lived in fear of, well, what do they do if, they don't like the way I discipline this and this and this. And the kids counselor was like, do they run your household or do you? Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, okay. So there are we had to have the conversation again. Okay, there have just been times where I've finally gotten to the point where I'm exhausted. At the end of the day, I'm cleaning up the kitchen. I look at Skylar and I'm like, deal with it. And he goes, for real? I'm like, yeah. And he just whips him into shape. But they receive it so well from him. They don't buck him at all.
And that's
I'm
what
like,
Britton was saying. I mean, and he said this forever. He's like, why is it that the boys will literally just sit up straight as soon as I walk in a room, but as soon as you do, they are just like, whatever. And I'm like, because you're the man of the house and they know if I breathe a certain way, our butts are about to get lit up. But if mom is, it's just kind of like, oh. And he was like, you have to be more consistent. I'm like, it's not that I'm not consistent. It's just I'm the mom. Yeah. And we play two different roles. Yeah. And that's the way it should be. There's a mom and there's a dad. There's a disciplinary and the man of the house. And then you've got the loving mom nurturing. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, Julian and I are
it's hard because he's like,
the
why
same
am I the
person.
bad guy? I'm like, you're not the bad guy.
You're not the bad guy.
No, it's just they respect you a lot more, so they know that they're not gonna.
Children respect discipline.
Right.
They don't respect being allowed to run all over you.
Well, and that's why they don't respect that.
You.
And I said, no, they do. It just looks different to you. Yeah. They respect me. Because there's times where he's at work and they do something and I just look at him and I'm like, oh crap, mom's about to.
Oh yeah, when we're at church, if I'm on stage and he's down there messing around, and you just gotta, I just literally with my microphone, I just look at him and he's like, he just stops. I'm like, AJ, you know better, dude. Oh
no, yeah, they know. They know. It's just it's a different role, and it's fine, and it's okay. Yeah. There'd be one thing if they were literally running all over me and didn't listen to a word that I said and was talking back, just being like heathens, but they're not. They're good.
Julian and I are the same person. Like we're obviously different people, but the way we communicate, the way we receive, correction, whole 9 yards. Well, so it's difficult. Sometimes she and I, when we're talking about stuff, it goes nowhere, and we're just like frustrated, tired, upset at each other. Mm-hmm. He'll come in, and after a 20-minute conversation with her, she's like all better, and I'm like, and then he'll come and talk to me. Well, then I notice it. I'm like, he's talking to me the same way he's talking to her, and it's working. I was like mad that it was working. Like I had to get out of my own way because I was like, don't talk to me like my 12-year-old. But then I was like, it makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So
I know.
It's definitely that is definitely challenging. What is one of the best memories you have as a blended family? Like from the earlier times?
Like the very beginning?
Very beginning or beginning marriage, like when y'all were felt like a family unit. What's one of your best memories for the 5 of y'all?
I would say whenever we went up to Ohio for the first time, all together, with us, because obviously Britt and I had gone up the first year that we were together to see his family, after he had moved down, and I didn't take the kids because I was like, oh, and we're still dating, and I'm like, I don't want anything to happen. And
Yeah.
then the boys are like, oh, well, remember that family in Ohio? And I'm like, and I didn't want something like bad to happen. And then I'm just like awkwardly sitting there with my kids. I'm like, well, we'll go home, like. And so it's just like, it'll just be him.
Like, what do I do now?
Yeah. And I didn't want to like overwhelm them.
Didn't want to be like stuck.
Correct. And so whenever it was the next Christmas, we all went up there. We drove up there. And I mean, it was. He's probably going to watch this and be like, that was your favorite memory? Like, that was awful. Because it was, there was a lot of drama. That's
a long road trip, too, with 3 kids.
Yeah, and, like, I'm not saying they were fine. Honestly, like, being in the car was okay. It was a lot better than I expected, honestly. But it was just, like, dealing stuff with, like, his mom, because we were there, and there was just, like, certain situations that were happening, and, like, I wasn't sleeping, and me and him were just super on edge and just kind of, like, nitpicking at each other. But then it was, like, once we kind of got past that, we were staying with his sister for, like, the remaining of the trip. We would go out, and we would just have, like, days of just
fun
quality time, like, going to, like, this museum. We would go to, just like this ice thing. Just different things that we didn't do here that obviously they have up in Ohio. And it was just like spending time, and sitting down and just having quality family time with his family, with the kids, and like his sister kids running around with our kids, like just being together as like a family unit.
Yeah.
That was probably like my favorite. And like I want to do it again. Like I want to go back up there because just spending time with them, and the boys love them. They love the boys. And so I think that would probably be one. I know we've had a lot, but probably the one that just I've kind of like stuck with would be mine.
For me, I have a couple, but my first one I think would be, so Skylar's family always, like his parents went over the top with Santa Claus and the whole 9 yards. So like, I don't remember how old he was, but he said there was at one point where they were like questioning if it was real, and his dad went on the roof and like stomped around and like left footprints and stuff, like to make it special for him. And so it was our first Christmas married, and Skylar like takes the kids' list, do what we can off the list, but he gets one gift for each of the kids that is like just straight from his heart, like something he knows about them that he knows that they would love.
Correct. Right.
So that year, it was for AJ. AJ loves basketball, which I'm like so excited for him to play because that was my sport. I'm like, yes, I'm so excited. So he bought him this massive, it's called Pop-A-Shot. It's like the ones that you would see like in the arcade, but you can fold it up. So, they played that thing together for hours every day. And so just seeing the way AJ's face lit up because he was like, oh, is this from Santa? And we're like, no, this one's from Skylar. And just seeing, because I remember AJ goes, well, this wasn't on my list. And he goes, I know, bud. And it was just like, he immediately thought about it. Like, Skylar's very, very intentional. And, that just seeing AJ's face and the way he lit up, I was just like, no. It was so sweet. And then for Julianne that year, Julianne is obsessed with stuffed animals. I was not that way. I had like one or two, but like the kid loves stuffed animals. Well, I don't know if it was a friend or she saw it on TV. It was like this huge teddy. The thing was massive. So his gift to Julianne that year was it's a 5-foot teddy bear panda thing. Like, it's massive. And it was like vacuum sealed. Oh. And so she opens the box and all you could see was black and white. And it was like real tight in a ball. As soon as he cut it open, it like exploded out of the thing. I have never heard her squeal like that in my entire life. It made my day. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, just to see like their faces light up like that. Like kids had been through more than they should have been. Yeah. But to see that pure joy and excitement meant the world to me as a mom. Yeah. Like, it was just our time. Like, that's one thing that Skylar made very clear to both sides of the family. Christmas morning will be spent with us in our home, and we'll see you after.
Well, and I feel like that should be, I guess, like, not like a common thing, but like a mandatory thing. Because it's like, you grew up, obviously, with your family, but now you have your own family. You have your own kids. You need to make your own traditions that way, whenever their kids are growing up, they're like, this is what my parents did, like with just us. It'd be a memory for them. And so.
Yeah, because I grew up, we traveled a lot. Yeah. Like, my dad's side of the family is like, if they wanted us there for a holiday, that's where we were. Which, I mean, it wasn't the worst thing in the world because my mom's family was gone a lot because they lived in Mexico. So it was like rare that they were in the U.S. for certain holidays. But with the kids, I'm like a huge Christmas person anyways. And so that's just his thing. He's like, unless we are like in another state doing like Christmas in a cabin, he's like, Christmas morning, I want to wake up. We're going to make the kids breakfast and we're going to do our thing. And that just meant the world to me. I loved it.
Like, I'm so excited for this Christmas because now we're like in our house and like
it's going to be so much fun.
I am so, like, I'm already like in my head, like looking at things like, oh, I want to do this and I want to get this. And it's going to be so great. I'm just so excited. I'm already getting like giddy about it.
Oh, I absolutely loved Christmas. It. Oh, I was trying to read that right. I was reading it backwards. This one's kind of more, I guess, sentimental. But what do you, like, as, you know, your husband and the qualities you see in him, what do you hope that your children retain from his characteristics and, like, his personality?
Is it bad to say, like, everything? No, because, I mean, yes, but no. Because, like, whenever I just see Britton, it's just he checks everything, if that makes sense. I've never seen a person that will literally check all the boxes that I had in my head post-divorce of, like, this is what I want. This is what I need for not only me, but my kids.
Yeah.
And he's such a, I mean, I've said this before, he is such a positive person. And he always just pushes people to be the best version of themselves because he can see deep down.
He helps pull the good out of people.
He does. And, I mean, just like him, just with, I don't know, everything. Like, he cooks good. And, I mean, like, everything. I don't even know. Like, there's nothing, like, I can, like, say that I'm just like, no, this quality in him, I would not want the boys to, like, kind of, like, obtain and take with them. I just really don't. I mean, like, overall, I mean, he's, I know this sounds cheesy, he's just, like, the perfect guy. And it's just, like, there's not one thing that I can, like, really pinpoint. It's like, I don't want the boys to ever, like, do that or be this way. He's just always, he's always there. No matter what is happening. I mean, literally, he's like, call me and I'll be there. Whether, I mean, if it pertains to his family, and whenever he's family, he's talking about, like, me and the boys. Like, he's like, y'all are my family. I will do whatever I can in my power to make sure that y'all are taken care of and that y'all are happy. And he's like, if it pertains to y'all, he's like, that's it. Like, I'm good. I'll do whatever I need to do. And it's just, he's so active in, like, the boys' like school. I mean, like, if there's like an award ceremony, you know, Jackson's doctor's appointments. I mean, there was one day where Jackson had a test at the hospital that took 8 hours. I mean, we got up there at 8 o'clock in the morning. We didn't leave till 5 or 6 in the evening. And we were just sitting there. And Britton, I mean, he was like, yeah, I'm going. Like, I'm not missing that. Like, are you crazy? And I'm kind of sitting back and I'm like, what? You're going? Like, dude, this was your day off. Like, your one day off that you get and you're going to go sit at a hospital all day? And he's like, yeah. He's like, that's my kid. And so it's just like him just like being there and like no questions asked.
With that stability.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So if the boys grow up to be like him, they're going to make some pretty lucky husbands. And I'm going to be having to fight off some girls. So I would, yeah, that's, I don't know. There's just not, it's everything. So.
I think for me, and I think it, you know, with having a son and a daughter, daughters, with AJ and with Jules, I think the thing for both of them that I hope they take away is he is so unapologetically himself and bold.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a problem saying something if it's not right.
Yeah.
And I think having a role model in your life that shows you like you do have a voice.
And you can speak
and it
up.
doesn't matter if people don't like you. What's important is you and your family. I think that is one of the big things that I hope all of our children get from him is just to be so completely unapologetically themselves and true to themselves. Like, if you like that shirt, wear it proudly. Don't question it because you're not sure if this person will like it or this person will like, you know.
Like, if you
just
like
be
it,
you.
yeah.
Like, just enjoy life and be you. I think one of the things for AJ that I hope he gets a hold of is just the integrity as a man that Skylar has, and the stability.
Yeah.
Skylar is very, very stable. He's had the same job since he was 18. He just knows what needs to be done and he does it.
Right, yeah.
And so as AJ grows up and becoming a man, just seeing that integrity, choosing honesty and righteousness first and foremost in the way you live your life and what you do, I think is very important for men. And then on top of that, just having that stability. Skylar is very much just a constant. You know, he's there, he's present, and, you know, in ways that, like, I wouldn't even think of. Like, you know, each year he goes out of his way to pick one thing that he notices in the kids of that year, and, like, that's what I want to gift them. And then for Julianne, he has such a generous spirit. And it's so funny to me because, like, outside looking in, he kind of can be, I guess, unapproachable. Just a little bit. But at home, there's just a calmness and a peace that's there because he's there.
Right.
Oh, and it's hard to explain. It's not like there's not peace in the home when he's not there.
No, I feel
but
like
there is
it just doesn't feel complete whenever
there's like
they're not there.
There's like a wholeness about just even our nighttime routine with the kids and just how we kind of function and move. And, like, I don't even think Skylar really is aware at how much
like the impact
he has just when he's there. It's just like, one, I feel like when he's there, whether we're out in public or even at home, like, I can breathe.
I can be
because I'm like, he's
relaxed.
not going to let anything happen to us.
Correct.
So I can, that guard can go down a little bit.
Yeah.
But when we're at home, it's like as soon as he gets home from work, it's just like, okay.
Oh yeah.
We're good.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's just
and even like when we're going to bed, even like if he's not asleep or in the bed with me, I cannot sleep. And he thinks I'm absolutely insane. But,
sorry.
But I mean, it's just like one of those where it's
sorry. Ruining your sentimental.
It's okay. No, you're fine.
Like went up my nose and
just breathe it in. Yeah.
Girl, it's been a week.
But it's just one of those things where it's like I just feel more at home and more relaxed whenever he's with us. And it's like sometimes I like try to like not make plans, like
just because you don't want to be at home with him. I do the same thing.
Yeah, I'm like,
we just stay at home this weekend and just like, I don't care if we're watching TV or just playing games. Like, I just want to be at home.
Yeah, and I want to be with him.
Yeah. And
it's just like if we have time, I'm like, no, sorry, like I can't do that. I've got
we're unavailable.
So
we
much
can't come
to
to the
do.
phone right now.
And I'm literally like waiting at home, and I'm not kidding you, like reading or doing whatever. And like as soon as he walks through the door, I'm like a little kid, and I'm like, what are we gonna do today? Yeah. And he's like, I just got home. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Do you want to lay down? Do we want to watch a movie? Like, and he's like, oh my gosh, like, but it's just one of those things where you just, as soon as they get there, you're just kind of more at ease.
Yeah. And I don't have a problem. Like, I do stuff with the kids by myself all the time. Like, games, traveling, all that kind of stuff.
Not do anything.
But it's different when he's with us. And we do it, like, as a unit.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
It's different.
It's different. It's fun.
And I used
enjoy
to
it
not
more.
be that way.
I used to live. I'm like, hey, kids, we're going somewhere. Get in the car.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, they got to work or they got to stay. You don't want to go? Great. I'm going. Like, you can stay at home all you want to. But, like, now I'm like, Like, I just want to be there.
Yep. Let me see. What's a good last one before we go? Oh, here's a cute one.
Okay.
How did you come to the realization that Britton was it? Like, was there a specific thing he did, or was it just more than the way he made you feel? Were the kids, because of the way he was with the kids, was that more impactful for you? Like, what was it to where you were like, this is who I want to spend my life with?
I think it was honestly the moment that, I don't know, he always saw me. Like, no matter what we were doing, no matter what day, whatever the circumstance was, he could see me in a way that I never saw myself. And in all the ways that I used to doubt myself and tell myself, and, that I'm not good enough, or that I'll never be good enough for anybody. Because, like, I would say this to, friends or family after my divorce. I'm like, I will probably be by myself until the day I die, like with my kids, because nobody's going to want me. I didn't even want me.
Yeah.
And it's like he just came in and it was like all or nothing with him. And it's like there was somebody that actually could see me and the potential. And yeah, we went through some rocky stuff, obviously, like in our relationship, especially in the beginning, just because we were figuring each other out. I mean, we'd only talked for a month prior. And it was just one of those things where it was like, yeah, we could have arguments, but we still chose each other. And growing up, nobody chose me. Yeah. I was just always.
It feels good. It feels good to be prioritized.
Right, and I always just felt so neglected, abandoned. Just not seen.
Yeah.
The entire of my existence. Even whenever I was married and I had kids, I just felt so alone all the time. And then whenever he came in, that's what I was saying. I don't feel alone. I feel like I'm myself. And, he just kind of took on that role with the kids of like, y'all are my kids. You're not my stepkids. Like, you're my kids. And I remember I was just like, oh my gosh, because I can't have kids anymore. I mean, I could, but it'd be really expensive.
Yeah.
But it was just like one of those things where it's like either I'm going to be with somebody who has a kid, or he doesn't want kids, or he's just going to accept mine as his own. And that's exactly what he did. And so it's like once I saw that, I mean, I remember I texted him one day and I was like, so when are you going to ask me to marry you? And he was like, well, when do you want? And I was like, buddy, like, this is on you. It's just like, I knew.
Yeah.
And it's like, I didn't want to wait any longer because it's like, why wait when you know? And I'm not kidding you. It was a quick relationship. I mean, together or dating for, I think it was like 9 months. Engaged for like 3, and then went to the courthouse and got married. I mean, it was just real quick because he was like, why are we waiting? Like, we both love each other. I'm not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. I mean, it was just like one of those things where it's like, okay, like, it's just, I knew.
Yeah.
And because I had dated, after my ex and stuff like that, nothing was serious. I mean, I was just kind of like, ew, no, I don't want this. Like, y'all are immature. Y'all would not be a good fit for, like, our family. Like, absolutely not. Like, this is a cool date, but I'm going to go home. Like, no. But with him, it was so easy, and it just flowed, and it's just because he saw me.
Yeah.
And that's what really just kind of flipped the switch for me.
Yeah, for me, it was like the second I knew that my heart was safe with him. Because we started dating September of 21, married by September of 22. So it was pretty quick, but it was one of those things, like, even the day that we got engaged, the kids and I, it was just a rough situation. It was the start of something that none of us wanted to have to deal with, and I remember the next day asking him, I was like, why did you choose to propose to me on that day? Like, of all days, like, why that one? He goes, I didn't want y'all to go to bed that night and that be your memory of that day. And I was like, oh. Like, when he proposed, he had a necklace for AJ and a bracelet for Jules, and he, like, proposed to the 3 of us. And it just, I don't know. It was safe, and it felt like I could breathe again. Yeah. So, that for me, it was just like, he just sees us.